Welcome, our fellow lovers of love, and thank you for joining us on yet another excursion through the stream of consciousness, down the river of tranquility, to fill the lake of life with love.
And good evening, our fellow lovers of love out there. And as you can tell, it's not quite late night. Even if you're on the East Coast, it's only 9. It's not late night. But we do air on KUBU 96.5 FM late night. So there's that.
Yeah, we do.
It's what, Monday mornings, 2 a.m. Tuesday mornings at midnight, and Wednesday mornings at 2 a.m. And that's the same show. It just repeats. It's the same show. Well, sometimes I'm slow. So sometimes the Sunday night show is actually last week's show. Or the Monday morning show, technically speaking. Anyway, see how that problem is when you got those zombie hours. When you got a zombie hour show, the timing is weird. Is it Monday or Sunday?
It's Monday.
Yes, it is technically Mondays.
Yeah.
And technically Tuesdays. And
Monday in the wee hours. Yes.
Yeah. All right, where'd my mouse go? All right, so what's have tonight? In this episode of Late Night Love, we dive into the complexities of relationships, parenting and work dilemmas. There we go. I can read that properly. From navigating infidelity and emotional cheating to dealing with parenting challenges and workplace conflicts, we cover it all. So join us as we discuss real life scenarios and offer advice on how to handle these tricky situations. Maybe we should start doing AI questions. Add in an AI question thing where AI asks us just for fun.
Okay.
I don't know. Things we should do when we get the studio as an actual studio. All right. Because, yeah, you guys can't tell. It looks pretty good. Probably sounds pretty good as normal. But, yeah, the office studios in chaos. We're putting in some carpet, and it turns out that the carpet's going to be still a month away before carpet installation, which is annoying because the studio and my office are in kind of halfway house of both, which doesn't work well for either.
Well, you've had it this way for a while. You can do it for a couple more weeks. You can do this.
It's 5 more weeks. It's literally
you can do that.
I am so sick of it. No, I get tired of it. And all I have to do is finish painting the office, right? And then move the desk into the office. And then I could actually have the student just don't finish setting up the office, but I could finish setting up the studio that way. At least one thing would be working properly, right? Yeah, I'd have to remove the desk out the office again before they put the carpet in, but it's not the end of the world as long as I don't get fully set up.
Yeah,
They just kind of get working, but I've still got to get everything painted and done first before I even do that, because then that'll just get in the way. So, these are the problems that everybody has on occasion when you have to replace 25-year-old carpet, and Lord knows how old that carpet is in our bedroom that we're replacing.
I know.
So, yeah.
It was your grandparents, right?
Yep. They put the whole house in that carpet, and that's the only spot left.
Is that from the 40s?
No, it's not that old. That's probably 70s.
70s,
early 80s would be my guess.
I was gonna say, you got to be kidding me.
No, it's not the original carpet, woman. It's the last carpet Grandma and Grandpa put in, which would probably be the 70s or late 80s. And everything else is replaced but the bedroom. It's because I just never wanted to do it. It's such a pain in the butt replacing the carpet in the bedroom. It just is.
It is.
And we are going to take the opportunity to actually finally paint the bedroom. So that's going to be nice.
And there's going to be new curtains.
Yeah, some new curtains and new colors and whatnot, a fresh coat of paint. So that's nice. I'm not remodeling the house or anything. We're slapping in some carpet.
Yeah. It's redecorating.
I wouldn't even call it redecorating because we're putting the same crap back in. No, you got a new desk in their office.
I know.
And they should probably put your desk in the living room or something, but
I would like that. Can we discuss that another time?
Yeah, sure, we can do whatever you like.
Okay.
All right, so we're on. We're going to actually start the show now. But before we do that, we want to remind you this is Suicide Awareness Month. So if you or someone you know is in crisis, please call 988. And if you're not in crisis and you just need someone to kind of help work you through things, we've got, you can reach out to the mental health hotline. It's mentalhealthhotline.org or 1-866-903-3787. And please, you're not alone. I know on the consumer operated warm line runs commercials here on KUBU. So you can also sit and listen to that and wait for that number. It's a local help number if you just need someone to talk to. So, you've got Google or your favorite search engine, go and look that up. And, no one has to be alone these days. There's many, many more ways for us to reach out to each other and connect. And so you're not alone and you don't have to suffer. And now we're on to relationships, which is such a terrible segue.
It really is.
But the relationships are often a cause of, I don't want to say mental health challenges, but stress.
Yes.
And so, how you deal with that stress is going to matter. All right. So we also want to know if you want to reach out to us, you can find us at latenightLove.us. So you can send your questions, comments, and letters to love@latenightLove.us, and we will deal with you anonymously as always. Okay. What do we got here first?
Okay. My boyfriend cheated on her boyfriend with our boss. Now I'm on a work trip with his wife. I want to tell her. What would you do?
Mind your own business.
Mind your own.
Now, there are times, if you were actually a friend with the person or something, then it's a different story. But it's your boss's wife, and mind your own business. It's one of those things where it's not going to end well. Or they already know, and it's kind of one of those things where people have made their deals with the devils. So just my suggestion on these kind of things, if it's not your business, don't make it your business. Now, whether you want to be with the best friend who be best friends with someone who has, I don't want to say loose morals, because that comes with the wrong implications. It's not the relationship that's the issue. It's that she knows that that it's interfering within another is the problem, right? That's the morality issue. It's not the relationship. It's, you're interfering with another. So, maybe the person to confront isn't your person's wife. It's your friend. If you're going to do it, because that's where you actually have, that's your business, but the other side isn't. But sometimes I'm not going to rule out that you should never, right, inform somebody that maybe you don't know. There's times to do it. I don't know if your boss is the person to do it with. If your neighbor's spouse is cheating on them and you leave them a note, that's one thing. But interfering with your boss's relationship in any form is bad form.
It really is.
And so do you want, I don't know. How well do you think that's going to go over well for your, it's one of those things is breach your blame, pretend you don't know. And if you must, deal with your best friend. My suggestion is you don't deal with your boss's wife. You essentially ignore. But now, if she asks you, you do not have to lie. So, right? You're under no obligation to lie. So if she somehow asks you a question, you are free to answer. Just wouldn't. There is always that. You should not lie to someone if they ask you about it. All right. What's next?
My girlfriend is such a pillow princess with me. Take it or leave it.
Well, that's how these things work.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. You decide to take it or leave it. She's 30. She's not going to change or much. I mean, she might have ebbs and flows, but she's not going to change.
Not really.
No, it's just, I mean, she could hit an exploratory phase, but those usually happen after the trauma of a divorce. So, if she's going to hit that, it's not going to be with you. But yeah, these are the things. This is where you decide. As you get older, what matters more. So, yes, it is kind of take it or leave it.
Does it really mean that much to you then?
Yeah.
I mean,
Shoes on the other foot. What would you expect?
Yeah.
If you're asking the questions, then that's what it is. Sorry. That's, just is. All right. What's next?
Okay, my wife cheated then lied. Is divorce the right option, especially when there's 2 small kids involved? Well, you haven't mentioned that you tried counseling.
Well, divorce is not always the best option, but ultimately it ends up usually being the option. Small kids get older, and there comes an age where the poisoned relationship is poisoning your family as well, and it's not worth it. So the question is, can you two work through it? And of course she lied. She lied before was lying during she was cheating. Then of course she lied after it as well. That comes with the territory. Those all get lumped into the thing. It's the same event. She cheated and lied about it. Of course she did.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the nature of these things. So it's the same thing. And the question is, maybe you ask yourself the whys. Is it the proverbial drunken night out? And, all right, maybe she's got to stop drinking. That type of thing. Yeah, I don't know. You're going to have to sit down. These things rarely work in the long term. It's not that they never do. It's just, if you're hanging on for children, then you're hanging on for children. You're not hanging on for your relationship. And that's not a good way to fix your relationship.
No, I'm not saying hang on for the kids.
With the kids and the motivation, it's the wrong motivation to save a relationship. You're saving the relationship.
No, you have to, but I'm saying if you don't really feel like you got the oomph for it, really give the effort, really try.
Well, yes, if you're going to try, you've got to actually genuinely try.
Yeah.
You got to, full steam ahead, batten the hatches, full steam ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Once you make that choice. Now, you can take some time.
Yeah.
But to put life on hold for 3 months, where you're just essentially going through the motions for 3-4 months, just to see where you sit. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. In a long-term relationship, 3 or 4 months is nothing. In a 20-year relationship, 3 or 4 months is nothing. So think of it that way. You're, refiguring out where life stands. And how she responds to that may tell you more answers than you've got right now. How she responds, what she wants to do. Is she willing to put in the effort? Because if you were only putting the effort and she's not, then we're talking nonsense.
Yeah.
So, and she's got to want to put in genuine effort.
Yeah, her head has to be completely and totally in the game.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
no more lies.
Yeah. So it's not just you. You're going to have to figure out, is she actually in it? Is she willing to batten down the hatches and go full steam ahead in rebuilding this thing? It's not just you. A one-way relationship does not work for long. No. Okay, what's next?
Okay. My boyfriend said I don't suit leggings. Does this mean something more?
It means you wear leggings that are too thin and you're showing yourself through.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's pushing the boundaries of what those leggings can deal with. And he's trying to politely tell you that you're likely embarrassing yourself. It's not a good look when you're walking around. Now she's 23. She has times to kind of fix that. But not every body type is suited for leggings, as comfortable as they may be. You may have to switch to sweats. Now, do you care? Is the other option. That's about as polite as you can say. Is those you're falling out your clothes? Can you stop it? Right? That's pretty polite.
That's pretty polite, yeah.
While still being, it means exactly what he says it means. Men don't hide things in meaning. We're not sending hints. That's not a hint. He's telling you the leggings you aren't suited to those leggings, in his opinion. Maybe he's wrong. We're not known for our fashion, but we're also not known for saying that kind of stuff unless it's obviously true. We're not opening that can of worms for nothing. That can go very badly, right? So
obviously, because she's run Reddit.
Right. So that's not a flippant response. That's something, it means something. And so you should take it in consideration. You don't have to follow it, but take it into consideration. Maybe leggings aren't for you. Maybe you need a larger size of leggings so they're not so stretched. Maybe you've grown more than you're willing to admit. But he didn't call you fat.
No, he didn't.
He didn't, he said those leggings aren't for you. They don't suit you. It means they don't suit you. That's all it means.
How much time we spend analyzing what men have said and what it could mean. We extrapolate out for like hours.
Yes, and what it means is, and trust me, he's agonized over how long. He's probably been agonizing this for weeks, if not months, over telling you about this thing, because he does not want to open that can of worms. But caught about a day.
She opened the door.
Yeah, what she asked?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and she asked, and it's been sitting on him, and he just batting down the hatches full steam ahead. He gave you the kindest answer he could come up with. And that's pretty good. That's a pretty kind answer. He could have been much more blunt. Trust me, with your friends, do these pants suit me? No. Your ass is too fat to wear those. That's how you're going to respond to your friend. So he truly does love you. He came up with a very
that was kind.
That was a very kind answer.
Yeah.
All right, what do we have next?
Okay, my girlfriend was engaging in conversations this past week with a coworker who is in an open relationship. Would you consider this emotionally cheating?
Well, there's all kinds of engaging in conversations. But that doesn't, what was she talking? Sports, the weather?
No, they were talking about, they were sexting.
Well, that's conversations doesn't actually tell you, there's all kinds of conversations. Doesn't mean anything.
Well, I read the full thing.
Is it emotionally cheating? Maybe. Maybe not. Probably. In this particular case, though. Or she could just be feeling flirty and you're not providing it. And so she's being flirty with someone who can be.
Yeah.
And maybe you can't. Maybe you're not a flirty type person. Especially, not everybody likes sending flirty text messages, right? It's not their thing. They don't like sending text messages at all. Right? If I have to send anything more than 3 or 4 words, just call me for the love of God. Right? Well, my fingers don't always do what I tell them, right? So texting is not a fun experience for me. And so,
And yet you seem very involved when I send you texts when I'm out of town, when I'm in Oregon and stuff.
you do realize I send you mostly gifts. I speak in
Yeah.
gifts. Yes, it's because
Yeah.
so I don't have to type. I don't have to sit there and type all the dang time.
Well, I'm not unrealistic.
Yeah, so I get to type one word into the gift search thing, and I get to search
Yes.
through the gifts to find the ones I want.
All I care about is that you're timely, and you are timely, and you will actually be involved in a conversation very intricately with us. You're gifted, okay, in picking those out.
Well, I know my search term, but that's all that is. That's just being good at searching at a search term. That's all that one is. But I have to know what you have to search for to, to put across the meaning you want.
Sometimes it's very subtle.
Well,
And
sometimes
others you're hitting me over the head with a hammer.
and sometimes I don't have as much time as other times. So there's that. Sometimes.
Well, I just appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate you taking the time.
All right.
I accept.
All right. So what's next?
Boyfriend is upset that I won't let him sleep over when I have the kids. Any advice?
Let him be upset.
Yeah. Sorry. No empathy.
Yeah. Just let him be upset.
Apparently the children are small and she just doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Let him be upset. And how long he's upset, if he can't relatively quickly kind of get over himself, then you know that it's not a long-term relationship. Because that's one of those things he just needs to accept. And oddly enough, the faster he accepts it, the faster it'll change. But we're stupid. And if he's not mature enough at 34 to understand this, then you don't really want him as a long-term relationship. So that's my suggestion on that one. So the answer is, so what? Yeah,
we live on the edge out here.
Yeah. Well, there we go. We don't usually get motorcycles right outside the window, though.
Not usually.
But all right. So yeah, tough. Yeah, that's
sorry.
The advice is tough, and if it does, and if he can't accept it, then it's his problem, and it's I don't want to call it a red flag. It's a yellow flag for a long-term relationship.
Okay, she can't say tough. What can she say?
No, tough.
I'm not comfortable with that.
No, you don't give any wiggle room. There is no wiggle room on this one. Okay, is the answer. You can be upset. Leave no wiggle room. Be clear. Women like to send hints. Don't send hints. This is clear. The answer is okay. Then you're going to be upset. Be firm. No movement. Give no sign of movement. When I say the answer is tough, the answer is tough. Give no waiver. Give no quarters. It'll be better in the long run. Trust me on this one.
Okay.
You'll learn more about him now than you'll ever need. And again, it's a yellow flag if he can't accept it. Now, upset can mean different things, right, to different people. Maybe he's just a little whiny, and right, yeah, he'll get over it. Right now, if he's genuinely upset, well, then that's actually more of a red flag than someone who's just a little whiny. So. And if they can't take you taking a stand now, what are they not going to be able to take you taking a stand on later? Stand your ground, woman. All right.
Hey, you missed one.
Oh.
I'm considering taking a break from my boyfriend. Have you ever taken a break in a relationship? Yes. And I did, and while I was on a break, I did a boudoir portrait.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him about it afterwards. And when we got back together, because I was going to share it with him. And he was so upset. It ruined the whole camping trip.
I don't know. I can understand if you want to take some time and focus on work, education, career, and so you don't want to spend much time on your relationship during a period of time, right? Hey, look, the next 6 weeks, I've got classes to deal with, got projects at work. I don't want to have to really focus on the relationship. Can we just kind of pause it for a little while? Not take a break, because not go off and I'm going to go off and explore other people. No, if you want to do that, you end the relationship. And if it gets back together later, it gets back together later, but there's no expectation. If you want to say, hey, I got to focus on other things for now. Are you cool with that? Yeah, sure. We'll have dinner every couple of weeks, and no expectations of anything. We'll just kind of check in every now and again, make sure we're all still alive, and type of thing. Yeah, fine, great. But anything more than that, then just break up, because that's what you really mean.
Yeah.
You just want to break up with a safety net. Stop being a pansy. You'll be better off if you're gonna do it without a safety net, because you'll find your true self that way, which is what you're trying to do. You're worried that you've lost some sense of yourself, and you want to go off and try to rediscover that, but you're not going to redo that if you've got a safety net. If you love something, you can let it go, and if it comes back, all the better. If not, then it wasn't meant to be. So figure out what you need to do. Are you focusing on work or something for the next 4, 5, 6 months? And so you just don't want to have to deal with the working on a relationship? I got no problems with that. Right? If you want to go explore yourself and, explore other options and whatnot, break up. Do it for real.
Yeah.
Okay. Parenting questions.
Okay. I got pregnant by a married man. My son is 6 now, and I'm afraid someone will tell him.
Well, someone will tell him eventually.
Eventually, someone will.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it, or just,
Now, how many people know?
How many people know? Probably family, just family, and his side, his family knows, and all that kind.
Well, if his family, so if it's everybody already knows except the child, then you're going to have to tell the child. 6 is probably a little young, because you've doesn't already have the relationship, so you're going to have to wait till he can actually understand what you've done. Well, so I don't know. Unless you're going to bring him back in as the father figure, as his father in his life, then there's no point in telling him right now. No. But you are going to have to face it, and you are going to have to prepare yourself if somebody slips up. Right? Prepare yourself for the conversation, so you're not blindsided, so you know what you're going to do if that happens. And ultimately, going through that process is you will figure out that you've got to have to tell them as soon as you possibly can. It may mean a year, it may mean 6 months, it may mean 3 years, who knows, on your family, him, situations, all that. But yeah, it's a ticking time bomb that you're going to have to deal with.
Yes.
And the only reason it's a ticking time bomb is because you didn't deal with it 6 years ago properly. Maybe you could, maybe you couldn't. Maybe you just didn't want to. But that would have been the time to deal with it, so you're not having to deal with this ticking time bomb. Yeah, hope you can figure out a way to diffuse that one nice and softly. My guess is 11 or 12 is when he can understand it, really.
Yeah.
But you almost don't want to wait that long. Tangled webs. All right, what's next?
An involved distant relatives gets a tattoo of your kid. Are you weirded out or no? I'd like to know. I'd like to hear from the one person that does not weirded out by that, because that's weird.
It depends how large the family is. If it's a relatively small family, then it's a way of someone to reconnect with a part of a family that's small and distant. If it's a huge family, then yeah, it's kind of weird. But if it's a relatively small, and just because someone's uninvolved doesn't mean they're unloved.
Yeah.
You know, they could think of this person of your child every day. Hopes they're doing well. Doesn't mean, but they lack the resources to be as involved as they would like.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got a friend who does tattoos on the cheap, so that's what they do. They're reminding themselves that they have someone they love. Often, people don't put tattoos on for no reason. They do it for things they love, not for things they hate.
That's true.
I would try to look at it as the spirit. It's likely not weird, except for you don't understand why they're doing it.
But you can understand the initial reaction.
Only if I couldn't understand it. I suspect that for most of my family, I would understand it relatively quickly. It wouldn't. Most of my family who would put tattoos on, it would be because they're wanting to stay connected to someone who's distant. It's why you put tattoos of people or their names and stuff on them. You put them on for people who are distant. Doesn't get to see them all the time. Lives across the country or something, so he puts a tattoo. People who are into tattoos do all kinds of weird things for all kinds of weird reasons, and it means nothing to anybody but them. It means something special to them.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, my guess is the people he loves get a tattoo, a representative tattoo. Sometimes it's a picture, sometimes a name, maybe it's a picture of an animal that they like. Who knows? My guess, everybody they love has a tattoo, and yours is just the latest. Or your child's is just the latest. So, would I be weirded out? Probably not. But I know lots of people with lots of tattoos, and as much as I can,
I have two, and I still would wonder.
Yeah, but having two little dinky tattoos is not the same thing as people who wear sleeves.
Well, no.
And have the tattoos on their necks and things, and people who every symbol, everything that happens in their lives gets a symbol on their body. There's a difference, right? Those people are different, and you take it for what they mean. Mm-hmm. It's an honored place. Now, unless they put it on an honored place. So, there is some things there. All right.
Emily Oster's new podcast, Both Sides, the spanking debate. Is it still even a debate?
Of course it is. Have you seen how these children are behaving today? Just because people misused spanking in the past doesn't mean it's been a valid form of discipline for a long time. So you're going to lose something when you lose that. And replacing it with timeouts clearly didn't work. I had my own spanking theory. Spanking has to be immediate.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only time it works is if it's immediate. And remember, it's not the idea is not to cause pain. Is to change the direction of their thinking. You don't actually have to spank hard if it's immediate. Little flip of the wrist. They know what they've done. They get it. You don't need to spank hard. And if it's not immediate, then they are not sophisticated enough to connect the two things. Mm-mm. And by the time they're old enough to connect the two things, you should have already built the relationship where you don't need to have the threat of spanking. So it's one of those odd things. If you spank when they're toddlers, but by flick of the wrist and immediately, the need for that later on is essentially none. But we're all afraid of that because you get everybody thinks of the traditional wait till your father gets home and you get punished 3 hours later and there's complete disconnect between whatever. It's not fair to dad. It's not fair to mom. It's not fair to the kids. Yeah, no wonder it's all screwed up. So there's a difference, right? A flip of the wrist as an immediate correction to bad behavior works. Wait until your father comes home 6 hours later and expecting dad to issue some correction for some behavior he didn't get to see. He's only getting mom's report of. Mom could be, have been stressed out and overreacted to something. It's perfectly fine, but what are you supposed to do? Yeah, of course that was going to fail. It was doomed to fail. Mom surrendered her authority. Dad becomes a bully, and the child never gets properly corrected because it's the punishment is too distant from the crime. Of course it's going to fail. We did nothing right. That's why the mothers, who were home, who immediately corrected their children, are the ones who had good children. Now, it doesn't have to be mothers who are home to correct anybody who is, who can immediately correct a child's misbehavior and redirect them. You're going to have success. And it's that immediacy that counts. And no, timeouts don't work on most children.
No.
You just don't. So, is it still a debate? Yes, because we still don't do it right. We haven't replaced the discipline with anything that's functional. So, yeah, the debate is how to raise children. It's still going. Because have you seen them? Right? Have you seen? Yeah. So, yeah. Yes, it's still a debate. How's that? All right, what's next?
My 10-year-old told me I made her look like a baby. Now, this girl likes to dress like a Grinch a little bit,
Okay.
choker, black shirt, tips of her hair is dyed black,
And so her 10-year-old says,
you're making me look like a baby when she buys her just normal, regular clothes.
So the 10-year-old is the one she thinks is looking like a baby. So the 10-year-old wants better clothes. So buy the 10-year-old different types of clothes. Stop imposing your fashion sense on your child.
They get really, you gotta pick your battles, dude. And have you seen their classmates? Okay, everybody is out there expressing themselves. They're just following suit. They want to express themselves too. And I always let my girls do that. And I ran into some parents who didn't always agree with my philosophy. And but I happen to know that some of those relationships didn't turn out very well, So,
well, you can still have your boundaries between your boundaries of decency, but give them freedom within those, and right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your butt can't be showing, and right, and
you can't, hold off on the tons of piercings, please.
You can set the decency boundaries, but within that the decency boundaries, and your economic boundaries, within those boundaries,
yeah,
they should have as much free reign as they can have. They're the ones who have to look silly. Or not.
And they're going to look silly looking like everybody else is what they're doing.
Hey, do you remember what we looked like at 10?
Everybody else?
We had granimals, where you match the animals to see if your clothes would match. Right? I forget how it worked. If you bought the mammals or whatever, anyway, you matched
The
it.
lion had to match the lions.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so you matched tags. You didn't even have to match. Someone else did all the thinking
Yeah.
for you. And of course, we still didn't get it right because we just wear whatever the hell we wanted. So, you'd be all right. Okay, what's next?
Okay, my dad was giving pre-chewed food to my baby, and that made me worried.
Well, guess what, sunshine? That's how you were fed. If your dad gave that's how it is kind of gross, but it's how you were fed. I wouldn't overly worry about it, but yeah, maybe just in the future you want to be the one to feed your child. I'm guaranteeing you that's how she was fed.
Well, yeah.
So, should you be overly worried about it? Probably not. Is it
No.
gross? Yeah.
It's
Of course it's gross. Doesn't mean you worry about it. All right, what's next?
When your kid isn't a sports kid. Okay, he's 4.
Well, at 4, you don't even know if he's a sports kid or not.
Well, they got him into, the t-ball and soccer and stuff, and he ends up playing with a stick,
He's not interested in organized sports at the moment. He may never be.
But he likes playing.
No.
He plays at home and
No,
stuff,
he's not interested in organized sports.
and he's pretty good at it.
He's not interested in organized sports. He doesn't want to go to practice. He just wants to play and have fun. And he doesn't want to go through the whole rigmarole because he's 4. Leave him alone. Stop forcing him to do things he clearly doesn't want to do. He wants to play sports out in the backyard with dad. He doesn't want to go play sports on the team with the neighborhood kids. He's not interested in that. Leave him alone. There's no rush. You've got his whole life for him to find the interest in organized sports. He doesn't got to do it now. He's 4. Leave him alone. Let him play with sticks, for the love of God.
Somehow I knew
What?
the number 4, him being 4, would get you.
Leave him alone. Jesus. I mean, that's the answer to if he's 7, 11, 12. It doesn't matter. It's you leave him alone. He's not interested in organized sports. But for the love of God, he's 4. You don't even know if he's interested in organized sports. He's not interested in them now.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple years, try it again.
Okay.
Right? Don't force him. If you want to make it so he's never interested in organized sports, force him into it. Then you give him something to rebel against. Have fun with that as a teenager.
No.
Yeah. Leave him alone. All right.
How do you raise a child that's less likely to be lazy?
Oh man, if someone had the answer to this question, this is one of those things. We've said this before. These are the exact questions that they find in tiles in ancient Egypt.
Yes.
Yeah. How do I make sure my child is useful? You do your best. When you can model the behavior you like, right? You can give them opportunities to be self-sufficient. Don't hover them. Don't be the helicopter parent. Allow them opportunities to fail. Be supportive when they do, because especially when you're young, failure is part of life. It's part of the educational process. You can't succeed without failure. You can't learn without failure. So help them be resilient to that. Because a lot of times what people are afraid of is people say they're afraid of success. No, they're not. They're afraid of failing on the way to success.
Mm.
And we've trained that into them. We've trained that into people. We've discussed it before. Right? We do it in our school. The simplest way I say it is, you give someone 10 words you've never seen before. You got 4 days to memorize the meaning and the spelling. And if you get 5 correct, you're called a failure. We wonder why people are afraid of success. They're not afraid of success. They're afraid of failure on the way to success. So you model the behavior you want, you give them opportunities, and you support them when they fail. And if you're religious, you pray a lot. Seriously.
Yeah.
It can't hurt. And if you're not, you do the best you can. And you go to bed knowing you've done the best you can. And at some point, they are responsible for their own.
You know what I have found?
Yeah.
Happens during the time when you're raising your children and you make a few mistakes. Suddenly, your parents, their parenting starts to you're not as critical, because you realize they're just human beings and they were just trying to do their best then, too, with what they had.
Everybody in the world is trying to do their best. Not everybody. Most of us in the world are doing their best with what they have. And, some people fail, some people succeed. Most of us have a severe combination thereof, right? We fail as much as we succeed, and that's called an average life. It's just the way it is. And to make your child not lazy is to make them resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Make it so those failures don't scare them.
Mm-hmm.
So make it, if you can actually create the conditions where they embrace failure, where they don't mind the possibility of failure, they're willing to take the risk anyway, and then you've done your job. Because risk takers aren't lazy. Have you ever seen a lazy risk taker?
No.
So if they feel comfortable taking risks, you've done your job. So just try your best. That's my best I got. All right. We're on to work questions. What do we got?
Coworker that was on maternity leave when I got hired returned to work today. I was asked not to show up today and tomorrow. What is going on?
You're probably getting laid off, or they're trying to figure out what to do with you. I mean, that is the problem with maternity leave, right? You've got to bring somebody on as a replacement while they're gone. And then when you come back, when the maternity person comes back, guess what? Unless the company grew enough during that time to support another person, someone has to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they were honest with you. You knew that person was on maternity leave. You knew this job was going to end.
Yeah.
And so you should have been prepared for that. So you're going to have to prepare for that. They're trying to figure, what your work is trying to do is trying to figure out what to do with you. They likely don't want to let you go.
Yeah. They're trying hard. They're looking.
They're trying to figure out how to move budgets around, how to make schedules work so they don't have to let you go. You may have to, take some reduced hours. They may offer you a different job someplace else in the company, depending upon how big it is. But if it's a small to medium-sized company, they may not be any place else to move you. So, that's one of those things is when you take that job, your eyes have to be open and you have to have you have to have an exit plan for when she comes back and not just hope. Sad, but yeah, that doesn't look good. So work on your resume is my suggestion. Okay, what do we have next?
When do you tell your boss about external job offers?
When you've taken them and decided to move on, you're under no obligation to tell them about external job offers unless you want a counter from your current job, unless you'd prefer your current job to the other ones and you want a counter. But if you're going to move, then if you're going to change jobs, then which is often the best thing for your career and your pocketbook, then you tell them when it matters. And the 2-week notice is a courtesy. It's not a requirement. And if you think it's best to give them a week or 5 days or 3 days or no days, then you do that. You do what's best for you, because guess what? You will do what's best for them if the shoes are on the other foot. This is be selfish. Especially if the company, now, if it's a company that has treated you well for a long time, they may be a little different. If you're working for some mindless company who would lay you off in the heartbeat if they needed to, then you treat them the same way. If you're working for a mom and pop shop who has treated you well, you have it's a different conversation.
Yes, it is.
Right. So there is those caveats there, but as a general rule of thumb, you be selfish is my suggestion in this case, barring the mom and pop thing, or at least someone who's treated you exceptionally well. If they've treated you exceptionally well, then you return the favor. Say, hey, look, I'm looking at these various different offers, and you give them time to prepare for you leaving. If it's just a job, and it's just a job, don't worry about it. All right.
Coworker feels they're underpaid and told me their salary, then asked what I make. Can this come back to haunt me?
Well, yes and no. If you are a top employee and you make more than everybody else, and everybody else all of a sudden finds what you're making, jealousy will spring eternal. Right? So it kind of depends. A lot of times what people who think they're underpaid is they're not underpaid, they're undervalued, or they're underskilled. They think they're more important than they are. They don't realize that job they have is replaceable. You're replaceable. That job is only worth so much. You probably topped out. And if you want more, you're going to have to go somewhere else, because that's all that job at that place is worth to them. It's got nothing to do with you. It's the role. It's the job. The job is only worth whatever it's worth. Any more than that, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with you. It's nothing personal. It's the job. It's the accumulated value of those tasks only reaches a certain level. And no matter how much they like you, or no matter how hard you work, or none of that stuff is going to matter unless you can become more productive, which you probably can't, because that job has probably topped itself out of productivity. You can't make any more. The only way you can make any more is if you become less needy as an employee. He takes no time to manage. There's no management cost with employee A. Employee B gets the same production, but we have to manage them. There's management costs. Guess who's going to get a raise? Employee A. Right? That's why he's employee A. It's not because he's better at his job. It's because I don't have to manage him. There's no management cost for him. He fills out his time cards. He does everything. Never complains. No one ever complains about him. Or, they just come to work. They go home. No muss, no fuss. His file's empty. Yeah, he's the guy getting the raise. Between you, who's always having to deal with HR, you may be just as productive, but you're a pain to work with. Yeah, guess who's getting more money?
Yeah,
because you're being a pain to work with costs money. It costs HR time. You cost your management time. That's money. Time is money. So can it come back to haunt you? Yes, but probably not legally. Most of the times people don't care. But as someone who does that, who has a tendency to make more than your coworkers, my advice is to shut up. Because they're going to become jealous that you get paid more than them. And you probably rightfully get paid more than them. But they're not going to think so. We do the same job. No, we don't. You require management. I don't. We don't do the same thing. All right, what's next?
Personal phone being monitored. Is that legal?
That depends on your contract, and there are times when it can be, especially if you work in banking sectors.
Mm.
I used to program credit card machines, and when you would go, there was certain times where you'd have to go into rooms, clean rooms, we call it. And it's not clean rooms where there's dust free. It's clean rooms because you couldn't take any personal items, information, and stuff in there. And if you did, it would all kinds of stuff. Yeah, because you had keys, encryption keys
Mm-hmm.
for credit card transactions and keypad transactions. And so anytime someone had to a pin pad needed to be encoded for debit card use, you had to take them into a special room and use special encryption keys depending upon the bank and all various kind of things. So there are times when you sign on for the job, it's very clear. It's not they don't hide it from you, right? If you want this task, this is what you do through it, and here's the compensation because of it, right? You get paid more for it, right? Yeah, you're signing away some of your rights. Here's the compensation for it, and you go in knowing, eyes wide open, right? Now, if you're working for, I don't know, Sears or some retailer, and they're examining your phone, probably not. So it depends. If you're working in some area that has something to do with security and encryption keys or something like that, yeah, you have probably signed away at some point. You're right to have that the phone monitored. Now, if it say, hey, you got to put this app on your phone, so for this, well, then the solution to that is to use two phones.
Yeah.
You have a genuine personal phone and you have a phone you use for business. If it matters that much to you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Coworker keeps asking me to cover for him. Now, apparently he's the only one in the company that can do this same job as this other guy. And he's excessive.
Well, then there's two things with that. One, does it come back? Does he cover for you when he needs covered? Right. And then the second thing is, if it is genuinely excessive, you have bosses to talk to about that. Everybody has a supervisor, right? And if you are the supervisor, then do something about it. Now, again, if these things come back, right? You cover for him, he covers for you. Hey, you keep the relationship going because it pays off in the long run. But if one person, if it's a one-way relationship, then you have to deal with it. Yeah, maybe he's got complicated family issues, right? Family dealing with cancer or something, and then you do it, right? Out of the kindness of your heart? No, because it's the right thing to do. If he's dealing with family issues. Now, if he's just doing it because he's lazy or wants to go out drinking with his friends or has got a drug problem or some various issue, then you'd be doing him a favor by dealing with it.
Yeah.
So, again, circumstances matter.
Okay.
And if it matters, if it will come back. If when you need him, would he be there? And those people get wide berth, right? You give them people who will come back when that stuff comes back to you. They get lots of leeway. If they're dealing with some family issue, a mother has cancer or dementia, and you go see her a lot or something, then you do it out because it's the human thing to do. Anything else, and maybe even in that case, you talk to your boss, say, "Can we train somebody else to cover for him?" Can we train somebody else? I get it. He's going through a lot of things. He's going to deal with it. We're happy to help, but it's a burden on me. Can we train somebody else? That's a discussion to have with a supervisor as well. But you know who to have that discussion with. So if you go have that discussion. All right, what's next?
Use personal phone and get reimbursed or get a work phone.
Well, again, it goes back to that other question. It depends on their policies. If using your personal phone for work and ends up with them some kind of tracking thing, then you get a work phone. you just do. Now, if using your personal phone for work simply means that it's, if you're a salesman and people are just going to call you on your home phone, on an app or something on your phone. Like our new phone system we're getting soon has an app, and so my desk phone can ring to my cell phone, which is cool, right? But in that particular case, do I want to get a work phone, or do I have? Well, the people who call me won't see my number. They'll never know my number. I can call in through the work number. So I happen to know that there's no tracking. My company does no tracking because I'd be the one to do it. But we don't have enough people to do the kind of tracking, right? It's there's no staff to do that kind of tracking. So I can freely use my home phone. But if you're in a big corporate environment where they have an IT department that can track the usage through your app, I'd probably get a work phone. Just buy something disposable that's just good enough to do your stuff for work.
Yeah.
And if they're going to provide one, then use the work phone for work. And in politics, you have to do that anyway. So that's why a lot of politicians have two phones. It's because you're especially if you work in government and are a politician, you got a job in government and you're running for office or something, you better dang well have two phones. Or if you're an elected official, and you dang well better have two phones. You got your campaign phone, and you've got your work phone, your campaign personal phone, and your work phone. Some of them might even have three: personal phone, your work phone, and your campaign phone. So just so you can keep all the bills separate, and it becomes an accountant nightmare. He has no idea. So it depends on how comfortable you are with the company.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Am I being unreasonable for not wanting last minute work requests?
Well, it depends. Sometimes it's the nature of the beast, right? Someone comes in 10 minutes to go. No one wants that job, but you're going to do it anyway because it's the nature of it, right? Now, if it's a routine production issue and someone's routinely sending late requests, well, then that's a production issue. So it kind of depends on the situation. I can't answer that with that many more detail.
Okay.
Because if you've got a production line, I can go back to the days where I run a production line, and someone sends in a late request, and you've got to stop what you're doing and send something in because it's some high priority thing. It causes all kinds of havoc, but it's not such a big deal if it happens once every 6 weeks, right? Yeah, okay, things happen. You just kind of do it. If there are routinely sending, let's see, if someone say, if you've got a warehouse that ships orders in Kentucky and a warehouse that ships orders in California, and the people in Kentucky can't get all their orders shipped out, and so every day they're sending you their leftover orders right there as you got an hour left to your shift time, and creating all havoc for you on getting your own orders out plus trying to get theirs, then yeah, that's a different request, right? That's a different problem because the problem's on their side, not really yours. Right? So it depends. It depends is my answer to that one. All right.
Okay. We have intimacy questions.
Okay. All right.
New sensation inside girlfriend. What could it be?
You've changed positions slightly, would be my guess.
Oh. I hadn't thought of that.
Or she's been practicing her Kegels. Who knows?
There you go.
There's all kinds of solutions for that. If you're really worried, you could, have her ask her doctor. But it's a general rule of thumb. Or maybe she's with child.
Ooh. Hadn't thought of that one, huh?
Or she's constipated, so you're feeling something. Everything's kind of close back in there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all kinds of things. Generally speaking, I wouldn't worry too much about it, but you could ask her about it, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's just been practicing her Kegels. All right.
What to do about otherwise perfect husband's horniness? Apparently, he's just perfect. Everything. But he's constantly after her.
Because he likes her. Say yes a little more often would be my guess.
Mm.
You don't have to say yes every time. Just say yes a little more often. He's a perfect husband. Why wouldn't you want to say yes on him more often? My guess is she's having self-image issues for whatever reason. And so she's not feeling attractive, despite the fact that her husband can't keep his hands off of her. Do you know how this blows our minds? We can't keep our hands off of you, but you all are feeling ugly. just makes no sense to us. So that's my suggestion. Say yes all the time. Make a more conscious effort to be more receptive to some of his advances. Not all, 10% more receptive. Just up your acceptance rate.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. All right.
Dry humping isn't childish nor some phase we need to outgrow once we're adults.
What?
Yeah. They wanted to make the statement.
So that's just a general statement. You do you. Wherever floats.
But I don't think you should be making decisions for everybody else.
Well, it's just an opinion.
It's an opinion, all right.
Opinions are like bungholes. Everybody has one. Most of them smell. So, okay. If it's what you guys like to do, knock yourselves out. No one cares.
Really?
Yeah. It's like telling somebody, giving old fashions is fun. Okay. Knock yourselves out. No one cares. All right. What do we have next?
Okay. Advice on how to get past the crippling embarrassment. He's had... No, it wasn't he. It was she. She has had a couple of encounters.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all very clumsy.
Yeah.
And now she's embarrassed to try again.
They're all, yes, the clumsiness, and it's welcome to the club.
Yeah.
It is my best answer to that. And yes, guess what? All of us felt embarrassed. So welcome to the club there too.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're going through is perfectly 100% natural. And we talked earlier in the show about, the not being afraid to fail. This is the same thing. Don't be afraid to fail. Your partner doesn't care if it's clumsy. And the minute you stop caring about being clumsy, the minute you stop worrying about that stuff, is the minute you'll start enjoying yourself. Yeah, when you engage in these kind of things, strange sounds happen, gross things happen, you're clumsy because of course you are. It's like trying to learn a new dance without having, any instructions. So of course you're going to step on each other's toes. Enjoy it. It's the fun. So how do you get past the embarrassment? In a sense, you don't.
You kind of don't. It's always a little bit of a challenge,
In a sense, you don't. What you do is you become stronger against the wave of embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
You surrender to it.
You just kind of go ahead and just waddle your way through. Yeah.
You just this is the human condition.
Yeah.
It is what it is for however long it's been, and it's going to be this way for however long it's going to be. So not going to change in your lifetime. So so the best thing to do is just to acknowledge that this is just part of the learning process.
Mm-hmm.
And you will likely be as clumsy later on in your life as you are now. So that's the nature of the beast. So it is what it is. The crippling embarrassment part may want to talk to a therapist of why you're embarrassing is crippling you, but she may just be, kind of exaggerating. It feels crippling.
Mm-hmm.
I can get that, right? She's so afraid of being embarrassed when the reality is that's the fun. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the fun.
Don't be afraid to laugh at yourself.
No, it's like the first time going to play miniature golf or putt golf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not going to be very good, but it doesn't mean you can't have a good time.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the presence of your partner and figuring out what's going on. So, and also the best thing again is we've all been there. All right, what's next?
Okay, now this was a guy.
Uh-huh.
Envious of my girlfriend's orgasms.
Well, yeah. Tough. You can be envious all you want. It's just going to be the way it is. So, but change your envious. Maybe I hate to actually. I don't want to.
Women we're kind of envious. Y'all are just like this full body thing. Y'all are just all in, and then you roll over and you go to sleep.
Well, yeah,
because it just takes it all out of you.
Well, all I can say is, instead of being envious, maybe look at it as a different way. You are able to provide your girlfriend with a good time. You have done your job. Pat yourself on the back and go roll over and go to sleep.
Okay.
Because I can kind of understand it, but it is what it is. So accept the fact that you can give your girlfriend orgasms, and there you go. I'm sure she's happy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah.
She ain't going nowhere.
So yeah, just I get it, but dude, move on. Yeah, change that perspective a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Okay, last question. I don't understand nipple piercing. Is there a benefit? Now, I heard it makes it more sensitive.
Yeah, I don't understand piercing of any type, so I can't.
And I think if you're involved in BDSM too, that comes into play.
All I know is I heard once someone was given an interview, and she said her nipples used to be pierced. Says, but then she had a baby, and the milk just goes everywhere. So that's all I know, other than the fact that I don't particularly understand it either. So I don't understand piercing. So I don't even understand piercing your ears. So I'm the wrong person to ask this question. I don't know. Boggles my mind that people make holes in their selves and then hang things from them. I don't get it, but people do. So I can accept that.
I used to have my belly button.
I can accept that people do. I just don't get it. Hey, it gives them some benefit, right? Whether that benefit is emotional or whatever, they feel better about themselves. So
it's fun.
Sure.
It's fun.
If you say so. Well, it has been a fun night. We are out of here. We want to thank you for watching and listening. And we will be back next week. Who knows? Maybe in this studio is more of a studio. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? All right. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you. Have a good night. And please remember to love everybody.
Goodbye.